Hey YouTube, how's it going? Buns VGC here, back with a brand new video and a brand new series coming to the channel. We're entering another draft league. This one's a tiny bit different from the, 2 or 3 we've done in the past. This one's called Fight Club VGC. It's hosted by quite a few mutuals that I've worked with in the past. Actually, I think 8 of the 9 other coaches I've worked with in some way, shape, or form in the past. But basically, there's a couple of differences. As with every draft league, no draft league is really entirely the same. There are 10 coaches, but the biggest change, top 6 enter playoffs. We have 5 weeks of regular season, double battles. But the biggest change is that this is basically VGC style. So we play... we select, I think it's 11 Pokemon, and we pick 6 to enter the battle with, and then we do a best of 3, 4 Pokemon aside, which is as close to, I believe, VGC rules as possible once you get into the later rounds of competition. That being said, there's some basic clauses, rules, etc. No one-hit KO moves. That's Fissure, Guillotine, Horn Drill, Shear, Cold, etc. No 2 Pokemon of the same species. You can't have 2 different types of Rotoms on your team. You can't run Double Team, Minimize, anything that can raise your evasiveness and make every move miss. The biggest one compared to other draft leagues is that 2 Pokemon can't hold the same item. Most draft leagues, there's, they're more lenient on that, and you can run 2 Life Orbs. The biggest 3 items would be Life Orb, Weakness Policy, and Assault Vest. But you can't run 2 of the same item on any of your Pokemon. Other than that, you can't force an endless battle, and you can't have a Pokemon with the ability Moody, because then it gets a random stat boost at the end of every turn. Basically, the season has already started, but here's the quick rundown of the schedule. We play PerkHaze, who I actually have... he's one of the coaches that I have less familiarity with. And then we go on to play Yimish Tortuga. You might remember him if you watched our ABL Minors series draft league. We played him, and our Mimikyu came out barely on top. Then we go on to play SV Tornado. She actually was my first, I think it was my second week matchup in ABLM. She actually destroyed me. I had a rough start to that season. Week 4, we play Slightly Salty. I have, this is the one coach that I have the least familiarity with, so that should be fun. And then we play Vashi. I've played Vashi before. Their Mewtwo stomped me. That video is not on YouTube because I had some, equipment issues because I was moving during that period of time. But now we're going to go into the teams real quick. I joined the league late because somebody had a conflict with scheduling and wasn't able to fully commit to the match or to the season. So that it's unfortunate, but sometimes it happens. The schedule just becomes... once you see all of the requirements, you just realize that you just don't have enough time to commit to everything. And it be that way sometimes. So that being said, I didn't get to draft with everyone, so I didn't get to snag picks or any of that stuff. I basically got to draft at the end of the draft and just select all, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all 10 Pokemon right away as soon as I got into the Discord. That being said, our team is going to be Glastrier as our legendary, G-Max Hatteran, Excadrill, Primarina, Nidoking, Decidueye, Xatu, Emolga, Throw, and with our free pick, we grabbed Gigalith. I'll do a quick rundown of the team, why I chose them and such. Glastrier, really good right now. He's actually, I think, 6th on the Pikalytics in terms of usage in the last month. He gets access to so many moves. Usually you see one of the 3 big items on it. I actually haven't decided which of the 3 big items I'm going to run on it. Because obviously there's not really much leeway. You use one of the 3 main items on it. Other than that, It gets access to Icicle Crash, High Horsepower, Close Combat, Heavy Slam, Smart Strike. So you get a lot of various coverage out of it, depending on what you want to use and how you want to use it. It's very slow, which then, leads me to my next pick, which was G-Max Hatteran. Again, it has Magic Bounce. I've drafted this before. I've used it briefly. Gets access to G-Max Smite. If you want to confuse your opponents and, you know, start coin flipping or forcing them to coin flip each turn. Very useful when the other Pokemon Dynamaxes themselves. As well as it has Magic Bounce, so it can't be deterred from setting up that Trick Room. It also gets access to Expanding Force, which has become super, super annoying for a lot of trainers once they can set up that Psychic Terrain, which, again, if I max to use Max Mindstorm, I get that, unless somebody has Steel Ruler, which I'm looking to see if anybody has the Azumarill, and I don't actually see it. Unless I'm blind. So, that's one of the main users of Steel Roller. Then we go on, we have Excadrill. Excadrill is probably sounding like a weird pick right now. Not only is it the mascot of my team, I should probably put this up, because we're examining the team. There's our logo. So, it's not only the mascot of the team, but I used this a lot in Series 4 in VGC on the ladder, and it brought me a lot of success when paired with the Tyranitar, of course, and a Tailwind user, because it gets like 630 speed. But yeah, it's still a really good pick. Less so now that there's a bunch of new Pokemon that can really destroy it. We're looking at Cinderace, we're looking at a lot of things, a lot of various things, a lot of water types. We're looking at Lapras, Kingdra, stuff like that. But if it can get rolling, it can get rolling. And that was a problem I had when I drafted it in my ABLM league, is I couldn't really get it set up properly because I had Sandaconda as my sand setter, and of course it needs to get hit in order to create a sandstorm. That being said, then we move on to Primarina, who, if you've seen some of my Wi-Fi battles or some of my ladder battles that I've put on YouTube, I think there's one or two in particular. This Pokemon has been really, really strong for me. Liquid Voice has been super good. You can run it with an Assault Vest and just make it super tanky. Can't get killed by, or can't get one-shot by a lot of Thunderbolts, can't get one-shot by a lot of Energy Balls, stuff like that. You do have to watch out for like a Poison Jab or something, or like a Wild Charge, or Seed Bomb, something like that, Power Whip. But it's very tanky, and it's very versatile too. So I always like to have it in my team. Then you go on to Nidoking. Nidoking is one of those Pokemon that I'm not entirely familiar with, but I heard that there were rumors going around just before Crown Tundra release that it was going to be relatively decent, if not good. Probably why it's an A tier, not higher. But it gets access to a lot of spread moves. It's very fast. It's reasonably tanky, but of course it has such a weakness to ground, ice, psychic, and some other stuff. So it's not ideal. Water, grass, the list kind of, well, not grass, but water. But again, it has a lot of spread moves for some of its weaknesses too. It gets access to stuff like Flamethrower, Ice Beam. Pretty sure there's a larger list of moves, probably Focus Blast and stuff like that. Then you go on to Decidueye. The rest of these picks, the next three picks, are Pokemon that I've used in the past, whether it be in a draft league or in the ladder, that I found some success with, and they were also kind of fun to use. Decidueye being one of them. Again, it's another Assault Vest user, or a Berry, depending on how you want to run it. But with the Assault Vest, it's super good, because there's a lot of things that do damage to it. Flamethrower, Heat Wave, Air Slash, Shadow Ball, stuff like that, that Assault Vest really counters. And it can do quite a bit of damage with Leaf Blade, as well as getting access to Brave Bird, Shadow Sneak if you want priority. And one of my favorite moves to run on it is actually Spirit Shackle, because you can trap an opponent's Pokemon on the field and for a while. I don't know if it's 3 turns or 5 turns. I can't remember. or maybe it just can't switch out, period. But super useful, especially against Pokemon that want to set up and get out, or don't want to be taunted. We're looking at Dusclops. We're looking at... what else am I looking at? So Dusclops is a big one. Cottony would be another one. I'm just looking around the board. Alolan Raichu, if it doesn't have electric terrain, is going to be kind of screwed on the map. There's a lot of reasons to keep Pokemon stuck on the field, and having the access to do that is really powerful. Xatu coming out, it has access. It's a really good setup mon. It has access to Tailwind, it has access to Trick Room, it has access to Magic Bounce, as well as damage dealing moves. I'm sure, obviously it gets Psychic moves, it gets flying moves. I think it gets access to Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, stuff like that, Expanding Force. So it can be a really annoying Pokemon depending on how you use it. And again, as long as it survives, right? Emolga is a Pokemon I've actually used in Series 6 on the ladder. I've drafted it, I think, once before. But it's one of those Pokemon that you don't really see coming. It's semi-support, as long as it can hit Thunder, it can do a lot of damage. Other than that, it's just here to mess up your day. Gets access to Taunt, Nuzzle, stuff like that. Like I said, Thunder. Can't get hit by electric moves, which removes one of its weaknesses. It's a flying type, which removes another one of its weaknesses. Its main weaknesses are ice and rock, of course. But that's about it, because it has motor drive, so if you hit it with an electric move, it's just going to go faster. It flies, so it can't get hit by ground moves. So it can do quite a bit. Then we have Throw. I was looking at the list of C-tier Pokemon left. As you can see, everybody has selected 2 C-tier Pokemon, so it wasn't ideal. A lot of the major ones have already gone off the table. Togetic, Clefairy, Galarian Rapidash, Klefki, Pangoro, Daboul, Comfey, Liepard. Those are all really good support, except for Daboul. Very good support Pokemon and Rapidash that can make access, especially of Eviolite for some of them. Floro Healing. Klefki is just really annoying with its screens. So I went with Throw. 2 reasons. One, we're going to look at Soy's team right here, the Cornervac Cyndaquils. He used this in ABL Season 3, and not only did he make a meme out of it by naming it Muppet Sumo, which I think is hilarious, but it's also really, he demonstrated the bulkiness of this mon. And its versatility. It gets 3 pretty decent abilities in Mold Breaker, Inner Focus, and Guts. I haven't decided which one I'm going to run yet. I don't know how useful, just looking across the board, I don't see how useful the Mold Breaker is going to be, because there's not a lot of levitating Pokemon on the field other than the Rotom Heat. I don't see anything else that can really levitate that I see. Unless I'm blind. I might be blind. That's very possible. But other than that, it can, Guts is really good. It's basically another version, if you run the Guts, it's another version of Conkeldurr. And it gets access to, I think it has Drain Punch. It gets access to obviously most of the punching moves. And like I said, it's very bulky, and it's slow, which kind of helps the whole Trick Room thing going on. Then with my free pick, I picked Gigalith. Gigalith is my Sand Setter. It's bulky, it's tanky, yes, it's only a rock type, but the important part is it sets up sand without me needing to use Sandstorm or get hit. And obviously with Tyranitar being taken off the board, I needed someone who could set sand. I think the other option was Hippowdon. But I don't actually know how to use the Hippowdon as well as, I'm not as familiar with it as I am with Gigalith. I faced a Hippowdon in the past, and I taunted it, and it had to struggle, and then we know how struggle goes. So, I decided to go with Gigalith, where it can actually do quite a bit of damage, rather than be a Sand Setter and support with, Yawn. Other than that, we're going to look into our first round matchup. We'll be playing the Trenton Trevanents, coached by PerkHaze, and he's got a decent team all the way down to Oranguru. So he's got the Landorus, and we're gonna take a quick look at the Landorus, which you guys can't really see, but Therian Landorus is very commonly used. It's got this high physical attack stat. It has access to Intimidate, the Assault Vest. Maybe it'll run a Choice Scarf, but I believe like it has access to Earthquake, Rock Slide, U-Turn, Superpower, Fly as its most common moves. That being said, it's also got a Talonflame with it and a Metagross, so it could just pop off an early Earthquake, not affect the Talonflame, or pop a Weakness Policy on the Metagross. It can also just Intimidate, U-Turn, come back in, Intimidate, U-Turn, do all that weird stuff. Then we move on to Lapras. It's the Gigantamax Lapras, which is actually one of the toughest Series 6 Pokemon to get rid of. Most people want to get rid of it with Electric, Grass, you know, the usual stuff. But if it gets Aurora Veil set up, it's very, very bulky. Again, it could have a Weakness Policy, and then it could just steamroll your team, because a lot of the people are using Pokemon like Primarina, Whimsicott, you know, even an Excadrill to use the Rock, use the Grass, use the Electric to get rid of it. But unfortunately, you need something else to get rid of this thing, because it has Ice, it has Electric, it has Water. It can handle your Water types that have spread moves. It can handle your Grass types. It can handle your Electric types. So, good God, is it annoying. But I have an idea of how I'm going to get rid of that if it so happens to come into play. Metagross is something you got to watch out for. It has Clear Body. You can't lower its stats. But it also has access to Meteor Mash, which could raise its attack and could just, especially if it has the Weakness Policy, it could get out of hand very quickly. So it's something you have to take into consideration when you're fighting it. I am going to take a quick look, because it is very commonly used. It's 4th on the usage ladder. It also has access to Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, and of course, such a high defensive stat. If it runs an Assault Vest, it could also be scary. Then you have Talonflame, very supportive mon. Could run the Sharp Beak to do the big damage on Brave Bird if they don't want to set up Tailwind on the first turn and want to take make use of Gale Wings. Skypede I've used in the past. I can't remember my build for it, and I don't have it on me. But it could be a huge benefit if they can prevent me from getting Trick Room set up, because it has Speed Boost. So each turn it's in battle, it'll go faster. Now, as I say, it could, if it prevents Trick Room, be a problem. It could also be a hindrance if I do get Trick Room and it's stuck on the field. Moving on to Alola Marowak. One of the things I want to do if I see the Marowak show up on the field is, if I can't one-shot it, especially if it Dynamaxes, I have to get rid of my item, because most Marowaks run Poltergeist, which basically attacks you with your item, plus dealing big damage, plus making the use of double attack from Thick Club. We will have a problem. So if I can run something like Glastrier and proc its Weakness Policy, you know, put Hatteran in against the Metagross and just get rid of the Babiri Berry, you know, something that I can get rid of. I think ideally, using an item that I can get rid of, like, I believe Koba Berry, any berry, Throat Spray would be another one, Weakness Policy, of course, and anything that basically you can consume will be perfect. Oranguru, support Pokemon, as long as the coach knows how to use Instruct. Yes, we're looking at you, Soy. In ABL Season 3, he drafted the Oranguru and had no idea how to instruct Pokemon, and it was kind of funny. Arctivish, very slow. I actually am not too familiar with what Arctivish can do. I honestly think it has access to Vicious Rend, so I gotta be careful if I do decide to Trick Room. Cantonian Persian is more of a support mon. I gotta be wary of the Fake Out and stuff like that. And Grimmsnarl is mostly a screen setter that can't be taunted because he is Dark type. Overall, I think that like, I have a solid strat for beating the most of the mons in here. It all depends on... I don't know how I want to set up. He looks like he has mostly a fast team. You know, Landorus, Tailwind, Metagross is reasonably fast, Glipede. He can make use of the Orangoroot against the speed. Grimmsnarl as Prankster. Persian's pretty fast. The only thing that really is slow would be maybe Metagross? Well, Metagross is average speed with the Lapras, but Marowak was probably as slow with his Arctivish. So I do have to be careful if I decide to pop Trick Room or Tailwind, because again, very fast team, but he has some mix in there as well. So it's going to be a great match. That match is going on later today, and I'll have the video uploaded as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I won't be streaming these the first couple of matches. I'm getting new internet installed, and that's going to be yikes. But it's going to be a great match. I wish the best of luck to the Trenton Trevanents and PerkHaze, because this is going to be one hell of a best of 3. And I really enjoy best of 3s myself. So good luck to him, and stay tuned for the actual video. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe, like button, as well as comment. And as always, it's been Buns VGC here. I'm out.